Hey, if you want to heal your body naturally, lose that toxic weight, and transform your mind so that weight never comes back, I want to invite you to join my Mind Body Boss mentorship program, where I use my proven formula to help you achieve that. Click on the link in the description to learn more. See you on the inside. Hello, everyone. Today, I have a special guest on. Her name is Mooki Watson. She currently resides in London. And her and I kind of started our weight loss journey kind of at the same time last year in April. And she has lost about 70 pounds herself. And her transformation is just amazing. I'm going to post some pictures of her before and after. So definitely check her out. She shares her journey, how she lost the 70 pounds, how she's maintaining things that have helped her um, continue the fasted, focused lifestyle. She's truly my soul sister. I really, really enjoy chatting with her, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to what she has to say. I hope you can learn from it, and I hope it inspires you and your journey. Of course, everything that we discuss here is for information only. It's from our own experience. So before you start any kind of journey, weight loss, fasting, workout, always consult your PCP before you start. Hi, Neil.
Hi,
I love
Monica.
your t-shirt. The future is female. That's super
Absolutely,
cute. I love it.
absolutely.
I am so excited to have you on the podcast and on the YouTube video as well. This will be posted on YouTube.
Mhm.
I've been following your journey for quite some time, and just
Yeah,
reading about you and just like who you are, I was like, you are my soul sister.
absolutely. The
So
feeling is absolutely mutual.
thank you. I love it. So for those out there that don't know you, can you
Mhm.
give just like a little summary about yourself, and then we'll go into the fasting and all the other stuff, like how much you've
Okay.
lost and all that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so my name is Neo Mooki, as in Neo Mooki Watson, as in Neo from the Matrix, the one. Um, I'm a 41-year-old Botswana born. I am living in London. I've been living in London for more than half my life now. I came into London in the sort of 2000, and I live in London married to a Scottish.
Wow.
Um, and that's about it. So I live a fasting focused lifestyle, and which has been very, very transformational for me in many ways, more than just losing weight. And I now spend my life outside of my day job, basically looking to encourage and support as many people to basically follow this lifestyle as well, because it's just so transformational. It's all about a self awakening, you know, and being able to really, really reach your full capacity as a human being. So that is who I am and what I'm about.
I love that. And that's
Mhm.
100% true. I feel the
Yeah,
same way about
yeah.
fasting. Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't just about the weight loss. When you start to fast
Mhm.
and you start to transform your mind and how you
Yes,
think, and
yes,
there's just so much more to it than just the weight loss. And like, I
yeah.
hope that this will help, like our conversation, that will help people understand that weight
Mhm.
loss is just a small part of it. I mean, it's a great
Tiny.
tool for losing weight, but there's so much more when it comes
Uh-huh.
to fasting.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
very beautiful story. I love it. I mean, like, from Botswana to London,
London.
married to Scottish, like, oh, I
I
want to
know.
know more.
Yeah, yeah. So, Monica, as you know, I think a lot of people who follow me know, I was born into poverty in Africa, in Botswana. I was born in the early 80s, when Botswana was still kind of up and coming. So,
Mhm.
being born in rural Africa, I am partially sighted. I'm partially deaf in one ear. I was born with a
Wow.
terrible speech impediment, and so to have made that transition from kind of coming from that background to being where I am, where mm, I, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. My day job is that I am an investment manager. I look after um, assets for institutional clients, so pension funds, mutual funds,
Mm.
life insurance clients, and it's over 200 billion. So that is what I
Wow.
do as my day job. So to have made that transition from that young girl, picture the girl who is coming from a village well, carrying a bucket of water on my head to where I am right now. This is why I am so passionate about human capacity. And of course, having grown up like that, I am no stranger to hunger, because having grown up there,
Mm.
I have known what it is to be hungry. So fasting was kind of the return to source for me.
Wow.
So yeah, so which is why for me, fasting was more than just about weight loss. It was about kind of really, really remembering and that actually there is a lot that we all have to offer as human beings, that human capacity that gets lost in the noise of this world. And actually fasting is what really, really brought me back to that self-awareness and that self-awakening, and then being able to unleash that human capacity. That is what has brought me from my origins to where I am at the moment.
Wow. That's so amazing. How old were you when you moved to London?
I was 19 when I moved to London.
Wow.
And I had my backpack. That's all I had, my belongings. I only
What?
had a backpack, and I didn't know how the money worked. I didn't know where I was going. I, it was pretty exciting and very scary at the same time. And I didn't have any family
Wow.
in London. All of my family are still in Botswana. So I did have to grow up very, very quickly in
That's
in
amazing.
a new environment. And obviously I've managed to adapt, and I've been here for more than half my life.
I mean, that's incredible. This is just the proof, that anything is possible. Anything is possible. Anything you
Mhm,
put your
mhm.
mind into. Look at you going from that lifestyle to
Yes.
becoming one of the, I mean, managing 200 million or billion investments.
Billion, billion.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Do you work from home at the moment or
At
are
the
you?
moment, I'm working from home. It's been over a year of working from home because obviously London just
Yeah.
shut down with COVID, and we've been sort of under lockdown and very
Mhm.
short spells of being allowed to kind of mix with society. But mostly, it's been a lockdown for over a year. So
That's
yeah, so I and I actually love working from home, but I still miss my colleagues. I miss that human contact. Yeah.
yeah. That's amazing. Well, let's just kind of start off with your fasting journey and
Yeah.
how did you get into the fasting?
Yes.
Let's start off with that. How did you
Let's start
find
with that.
fasting?
It's a very, very strange story, and it again comes back to what you and I talked about, Monica, about fasting being more than just about losing weight.
Hmm.
So I had just lost my dad in 2019, and um, I was kind of going through the process of mourning him. And so I had YouTube in the background. I'm not subscribed to premium, so it just kind of has, I had, I picked a kind of a mix of calm music, and it was just playing one thing after another whilst I was doing housework. And then all of a sudden, this guy screams, "Hey, fatty!"
Who's this maniac screaming, "Hey, fatty"?
So for a moment, I thought it was my husband and he had a death wish, right? So, So I kind of paused and I was like, who is that? So I turned around and there it was. It was Cole Robinson, and one of his videos had just come. So it was by coincidence, it just came through, and it was, "Hey, fatty," and he just started, his Cole-like kind of onslaught. And it did catch my attention, and I paused and I listened, and it got me thinking about fasting and actually doing more research on it. And actually at the time, Monica, I was desperate to find something to manage inflammation because I fell from a tree when I was a child and I have a shoulder injury from. And I was desperate to find a non-medication route towards managing the inflammation and the chronic pain. So that's what got me into fasting. It wasn't losing weight per se, although I would say that all of us women especially, we are having this constant journey of trying to make sure that we are a healthy weight. But my primary driver was to try to use the fasting to manage my chronic pain. And as I've said to you, Monica, what that did is that I got into it, and it was very, very difficult for me at the start. And I'll tell you why. It's because, as I mentioned, I manage about 200 billion plus of assets. And, in the city, it's a very fast, heart-driven world. It's a world where it's very easy to lose yourself. It's a world where it's very, very easy not to put yourself first. And so I've lost myself, and I had this chronic pain, and I was medicating with a glass of wine every night. And then a glass of wine turns to 2 glasses of wine every night. And then you kind of drink a bit more at the weekend. And then you get into this gray area where you're not quite an addict, but you're using alcohol and other things to meditate. Sorry, to medicate.
Medicate, yes.
So exactly, to medicate. So I got into that cycle. So what fasting did for me is that I started it, and it was very, very hard. Some people start fasting, Monica, and immediately they can do 48-hour fast or 72-hour fast, or they could do a week. For me, it was hard because I had to undo the habits that I'd fallen into in order to manage the stress and the stress from my job, the stress from my lifestyle of commuting and being on the road, going all over the world, meeting investors, etc. So it took me quite a while to get into it. But once I got into it, and it took understanding the science behind it and just doing it and developing a routine, and a routine that worked for me to basically see results very, very quickly. So in terms of my journey, so I went from about sort of 94 kilos to about 59 kilos, which is about sort of a 70-pound loss. And it happened, a lot of it happened in a short space of time. Sort of when the lockdown started at the beginning of 2020, I really took it seriously, and I just went into it, and it took me sort of 6 months to kind of get from that highest weight to my goal weight. And I've been maintaining since, and obviously kind of experimenting and tweaking my routine, and also encouraging others along this journey. But
so 70 pounds.
70 yeah.
So 6 months. Yeah. And that's actually the same thing. My journey kind of started right in April, kind of similar with yours.
Exactly. I know.
Majority of my weight loss was during that
I know.
6 months. So I love,
I know.
we could have been fasting together.
We honestly are. And I'll come back to one of the things that I've the biggest thing I've gained from this fasting focused lifestyle. So Monica, in Zulu, so I'm part Zulu. I am part of the tribe of the Zulus, being from the Bantu origin in Africa. The greeting in Zulu, saying hello, is Sawubona. Sawubona. Sawubona means I see you. And I see you, it's more than just being kind of polite in terms of I see you. It is, you are saying with every greeting, I recognize your worth and your dignity as a human. And, for me, I think that my philosophy is that we are all linked to source, right? We are all human beings are linked to source in the same way that you've got the sun and then sun rays, right?
Yes.
So there's the source. We are the rays, sun rays. We are all linked to source, and we are all linked to one another. And then what happens is that life happens. Situations happen, the traumas of life happen. You medicate with alcohol like I was, and then you hide all of that with binge eating, and it creates a lot of noise. And then what you fail, we get into the cycle as human beings where we are walking around, we don't see our self-worth, we don't see our self-dignity, and we don't see that in others. And I would say that fasting caused me to have that self-awakening of basically decluttering my world, decluttering, my spiritually, mentally, physically, for me to be able to really mean it when I say to you, Monica Sawubona, I really see you. I see your worth. I see your dignity. I see my connection to you as we are both connected to source, and which actually builds into my philosophy. And for people who follow me, you will see that my philosophy is that things become easier where you do things from a place of self-love. So my fasting journey became easier, Monica, when I did it, when I was able to declutter through fasting and actually really go back to myself and recognize myself. And then I started doing something from a place where I was being, very compassionate with myself, right? Like from a place of self-love. And then it just became easier and easier and easier.
I love that, because you can, if you don't have self-love, compassion for yourself, you cannot help others. And it kind of shows through you, it shows through your face, like you're like a ray of sunshine, like your smile, your skin. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And it like that, it really shows through. There's no, like, it's something you cannot fake. You cannot.
No,
And people are drawn to that energy, same thing, like, I get messages from people all the time. It's like, I love that you're so real, that it's not fake. And I'm like, I could not be fake. I don't have that in my body.
Yes,
Or the
absolutely.
same way. And I love that, because it's so hard with social media, and there's so much out there,
Yeah,
just more followers, more this, more that. And,
I know.
sometimes it's not about that. It's like,
Yeah,
changing one life, to me, it's more
yes,
important than having like millions of followers. It's just,
absolutely.
this journey is, it's just absolutely incredible. And in order for you to actually experience it and yourself, you have to go through it yourself.
Oh my God. If anybody had told me I'd be talking like this, Monica, about 2 years ago, I'd be telling them they're crazy. Like, I am not a tree hugger. Like, so it's like, no, that's the life for tree hugging folk. But no, so I'll like, coming back to what we've been talking about, Monica, about sort of being real, being authentic to yourself, and actually doing things from self-love. And I think for me, people come to me and it's like, okay, Nia, tell us how to do it. Shall I just buy snake juice? I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can arm you with the tools that will help you support your fast. But you've got to do this from a place of self-love. And when you do that, that's when you are able to keep carrying on. When the scales don't move, you still carry on. When you make a mistake and you think you've messed up, this is not a cult. it's not a rigid diet where we're counting macros and we're weighing stuff. You can have a night where you have a drink with friends to toast. It's not a cult. So you are actually literally, it's a lifestyle. You're doing it from a place of self-love. You can't be so rigid in terms of, any diet that is prescriptive and that is super rigid isn't sustainable. It's got to be a lifestyle.
Yeah. And you really do have to learn to forgive yourself. I mean, that was a hard thing for me because that maintenance, yes, you can lose weight fast, but then you gotta get into this maintenance phase where you
I
have
know.
to maintain
Uh-huh.
this weight. And then there's
I
one
know.
month, I think, or like 2 months where I regained like 8 pounds. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. 'Cause I had a cheat meal. And and I see this all the time in people. And it's just really kind of forgiving yourself, being able to
Mhm.
forgive yourself and
Yeah.
learning, living through your mistakes and not like beating yourself up if you eat
Yes.
something bad or have a glass of
Yeah.
wine or a cheat meal. We tend to be so hard on ourselves. And what happens usually, we actually go deeper and into the binge because you're like, I already
Yeah.
messed up. So I'm just going to
Yes.
go all in. That is such a bad way of thinking. And
Ab-
I've done that myself. I've made a lot of mistakes. And
yes.
again, it goes back to just being compassionate with yourself and
Mm, mhm,
loving yourself, forgiving
mm,
yourself. When you
yes.
think of yourself as like your best friend and how you
Oh,
would treat your best friend,
yeah.
you start to change. Like we are so hard on ourselves. Like we really are.
Mhm. Absolutely, Monica. Which is why I've just been so drawn to you throughout your journey, because I can see a lot of that, all of these things in you as well, right? Which is why your journey has been super inspiring to me personally. And I think,
Same.
so, all of us get into patterns where you get into a negative loop, right?
Hmm.
It happens. You
Yes.
get back from work, you're tired, you have a meal, and you're lying on the sofa and you binge watch something and you fall asleep on the sofa. The lights are on, and then you wake up the following morning, you're groggy, you're tired, and then you think, oh, I'm just gonna rest today, and then you binge eat, etc. And that kind of negative loop kind of keeps going
Mhm.
on. And I think
It's like a
a lot
vicious
of it
cycle.
happens as
Vicious cycle. It really is.
it's a vicious cycle. And I think why it's important to walk this journey from a place of self-love is that you are able to kind of pause and say, actually, okay, I might have messed up yesterday and had this massive cheat meal, but it's okay. It's a lifestyle. I'm not on a cult. This is not a cult,
Mhm.
right? I
Right.
can easily come out of that loop and actually get back on track, and it's okay, right?
Absolutely.
So so even though I have my a routine that is has basically worked for me in terms of losing weight. I did rolling 48s and 72s during that phase. I
Mhm.
never really went
Same. That's
into
what I
long,
did as
long,
well.
long, long fast. I know, because I've been watching you as well. I thought you and I had exactly the same journey
Yeah,
at
and we didn't
exactly the
even
same
we
time,
didn't even
right?
plan it. We did it the same time. We did not even
I
you did
know.
the walks and the 48, 72. So
Yeah.
yeah, tell people about what your plan, what you used to lose the 70,
Mm,
like exactly.
okay.
Yeah,
So for me, the key ingredient starting is, again, you need to walk into this journey from a place of self-love again,
absolutely.
and
But
compassion
how
with
do
yourself.
you
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so I'm
Yes,
sorry
yes.
to stop you there. So for
Mm,
somebody that doesn't have self-love and wants to start
yeah.
fasting, how do you walk into the
Uh,
self-love if you don't have it? You're very harsh and you're like, how do you start?
so I started by kind of so first of all, starting fasting, I needed to kind of do my own research about fasting. As I've said, I heard Cole talking about it, and I did quite a lot of research because I needed to. there's a lot of negative connotations about fasting. It's bad for you. It's gonna slow down your metabolism, blah, 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 blah. And we are taught that you've got to eat sort of several times a day. And I had to kind of educate myself in order to know that I was walking into a safe space, right? And then I started fasting. So my routine, the routine that actually helped me lose weight was doing fasting as long as I could. I used snake juice initially, and then I ended up integrating dry fasting. So rolling 48s and 72s. And then I did
Which
clean
means
refeed.
for those who don't know, it means you fast for 48 hours, then you refeed, then you fast for 72 hours, then you refeed, and then you do the same back and forth rolling. Because I've had people ask me that, what does that mean? So
okay, exactly.
And before you started this, you've never fasted longer than like 24
I had never fasted before.
So you jump right into it without previous fasting experience.
I didn't have any fasting experience, but I'll tell you what. So as I said to you, Monica, it was tough for me at the start because I'd had a very unhealthy lifestyle in terms of just eating rubbish and drinking. So when I started, I tried to do a 48. It didn't work because I think Cole's suggestion was, okay, start with a 48. That is where the self-love came into place, because I was kind of beating myself up thinking, why can't I do this? And then I had to kind of get to a point where I was like, okay, I've got to listen to myself. I've got to be compassionate with myself in order for this to work, because I kept trying. And for me, it was hard. For some people, it's easy. For me personally, it wasn't easy. So I started then kind of listening to my body. So initially, I then did kind of clean eating OMAD. So 48 wouldn't work. So I thought, okay, Neil, try OMAD then. That's what I did. So I did
per day,
1 meal a day. So I started with that. And even that was a challenge, because obviously I had a lot that I was carrying inside of me in terms of the bad habits that had built up in my body. Yeah. So I started with my 1 meal a day. So I basically said, okay, I can't do 48, go back to actually doing what I can do. So I did 1 meal a day, refeeding clean, sort of. So I followed the Cole's guidance about having kind of high protein, high fiber, high fat refeed. So very, very clean. And I guess that, you know, for me, I think it's all about trying things and finding what works for you. For me, it just so happens that that worked for me. For some people, it won't work, right? But for me, it worked. So I did that for several weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, just really, really doing that. And throughout that period, I was researching about fasting, about ketosis. I didn't know any of this. I'd never. So I then spent a month kind of getting keto adapted, right? So by the time I was ready to then extend my fast, it was a lot easier, because I was coming from a point where my body was basically adapted to kind of fasting, to being in ketosis, and I was basically checking my levels of ketosis every day, etc., etc., and then transitioning into longer fasts such as 48s and 72s then became easier. So that is how. So for me, a journey of being kind of kind to myself has had to come about by kind of trial and error, Monica. It doesn't come overnight. Even now, I still, you know, there are times where I'm so hard on myself, like, oh my God, I just binged last week, right? But you know, it's a constant journey. It's about constantly kind of reminding yourself that it's okay to not stick to plan, as long as you are able to go back onto it again. So it was the fasting, and then, you know, refeeds or eating when you have fasted, it's so important what you eat. As you always say yourself, Monica, you don't want to undo
Yes,
all
all the
the good
hard work.
work.
Just to kind of go back to, and I'm glad you mentioned this because
Mm,
I do find it that sometimes people are so hard on themselves. They're like, why can't I go over 24 hours? Why can't I fat? It's
mm,
just so hard. And like
mm,
you are just an example right there.
mm.
Just listening to your body, it is okay.
Yeah,
Just if you have to
yeah,
even start with two mat, do two
yes,
meals a day.
yes, yeah,
You
yeah.
are your own, you listen to your body, your mind.
Mm,
Sometimes your mind needs healing. Fasting is so
mm,
mental. Like if
yes,
you are not mentally prepared, you're not going to be able to do it. And that's happened to me. And I've done my longest fast was 7 days. And I still get to moments where I can't even go 48 hours because my mind is not there. So it is okay. If you're out there, one of those people that, you beat yourself up because you cannot go longer than 24 hours, that's
yeah.
okay. Just keep going.
Mm,
24 hours is okay.
it's
Maybe
still good.
it's
Yeah,
still good.
it's still
Did
good.
you lose
Yeah,
any weight? Like, did you
yeah,
lose some weight during those 24
mm,
when you did the
mm,
OMADs
yeah.
before you
Yes,
started?
absolutely. Yeah.
So that was like a little jump start. You were able to kind of balance those chemicals, those serotonin, dopamine receptors in your brain. And that
Absolutely.
makes a huge difference. Sometimes it's not our fault. The food industry, the crap that they put in our food, the alcohol, it really is a
Yes,
drug. Food
it
is
is.
it's a drug.
It
And
is a drug, yeah.
it is hard sometimes to control those urges, those cravings, because
Yeah,
our food industry really is just the worst. So
it
don't
is.
beat
It
yourself
is.
up. Clean up your diet. Let your
Mm,
brain, let those receptors kind of balance
mm,
out,
mm,
and then try it when you're ready. So again, everybody's on their own
absolutely.
journey. So I'm so glad you mentioned that because I think that's such an important thing
Mhm,
to talk about because there's
mm.
so many people out there that they give up on fasting because they
Yeah,
can't go over, even if you have to start off with 16-hour fast, that's fine
yeah,
too.
that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I
fine.
started. Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing wrong
absolutely.
with
And I
that.
guess coming back to your point around it's all in the mind. Oh my God. This is so spot on, Monica. It's all a mind thing. If you want to change anything in your life, and I did have to go through this fasting journey to kind of defog, to learn all of these things. If you want to change anything in your life,
Hmm.
it all has to start with you convincing your mind and your heart.
Yes, absolutely.
Your mind and your heart. And that is where your why comes in, and really, really, really owning your why in your heart, in your mind. And I say to people, to my girlfriends who I support, I say, look, you need to have a red table conversation with yourself. Do you know Jada Pickett does the
Yeah,
red table thing where
yeah.
you need to have a
Mhm.
real conversation with yourself?
Come to Jesus with yourself.
Come to Jesus with yourself and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can fool anybody, but you ain't gonna fool yourself,
Hmm.
right? And once you have that and your why and your heart and your mind and your heart are aligned to your purpose, then you then apply the tools to implement the change. And then if things don't go according to what you're planning, because they won't, because this is life, stuff
Hmm.
happens, because your why is so strong and your mind and your heart are so aligned, you are still able to be consistent, to be persistent. But it all starts with you actually really having that Jesus moment, come to Jesus moment. And if you haven't convinced your heart and your mind about the change, you will give up. And that's why a lot of people give up. And it's not just on fasting, it's on any kind of change that
Anything,
people are
yes.
trying to
Yeah.
implement.
Because it is hard, and even people that I coach, like I can't make them do anything.
Yeah.
I can support them, show
Yeah.
them how to do
Yeah.
certain things,
Mm,
but first
mhm.
thing I tell everyone, get out your journal and write down your
Yes.
whys because that's what's
Yes.
going to keep you going. I
Yes.
cannot convince you too fast. I mean, and there,
Mm,
I have
mm,
clients that struggle with things in their lives, and
mm,
sometimes they just quit, right?
mm, mm,
Good.
mm,
Like if you're
mm.
not ready,
Yeah.
you're not going to succeed, and I can't
No,
make you ready. You have to be the
no.
one that decides, okay, I'm ready for this change. And it takes journaling, it takes a lot of self-love, daily
Yes.
reminders of
Mhm.
self-love, and just relearning this habits and forgiving yourself, because you're gonna make mistakes.
Oh,
You're not gonna
yeah.
like, oh, throw all your junk food out of the
Yeah.
house and be like, I'll never cheat again. It's not,
No.
we're not, no, it's not gonna happen.
It's not a cult, as I always say.
I
And
mean, it
coming
still
back to your
happens.
point, Monica,
It still
um,
happens to me. Like it happens all the time. I
yeah,
still, have my bad days, and then I just
yeah,
have to snap out of it,
yeah,
and
of
it's
course.
okay.
Of course. Can I also say, sort of coming back to what you said, oh my God, I just love you so much, Monica. You're like my twin, right?
Same, yes.
um, so coming back to what you were saying earlier around how we spend a lot of time with ourselves, right? We
Mhm.
spend a lot of time with ourselves, and we spend a lot of time saying a lot of things to ourselves, right? The negative talk, the self-doubt,
Mhm.
etc., etc. Which is why, you will have those thoughts, you will have the doubts, you will think, oh, am I doing enough? And I think, which is why it's so important to basically walk this fasting focused lifestyle from a place of compassion with yourself and self love, and basically being able to engage with those kind of thoughts from a place of positivity, to say, actually, but you are on this journey, you've learned this, you've achieved this, be grateful for this, celebrate this, look at how many people you are encouraging to basically change their lives, Monica. Do you know what I mean? It is
Yeah,
about kind of constantly being able to speak positively to yourself as well whilst you are on this journey, because even us, Monica, who have lost weight and are being looked up to by others, we do still have this journey as well, to maintain, etc., etc. And it's just important that, for
yeah,
it to be a lifestyle, you have to be able to ingrain that kind of positivity and know how to engage with the negative thought processes that might arise throughout this journey.
absolutely. So how do
Mhm.
you manage your those negative thoughts and things that happen, or not maybe
Yeah.
binges, or maybe things that happen throughout your journey? How do you manage those things yourself?
Okay. So it's very interesting. And some people might think that it's some kind of tree hugging stuff, but I believe everything comes from love.
Mhm.
I believe because I think everything comes from source, from love. Some people call it God, some people call it source.
Mhm.
Everything comes from love.
Mhm.
And I feel that when I have negative emotions or negative thoughts, I feel that those are triggers for me to reaffirm my love for self.
Mhm.
So when I have a negative thought to the point of, okay, Nia, but you had a glass of wine yesterday, it's kicked you out of ketosis, then I'll be like, yeah, but I'm killing it still. I'm still, eating clean, and I'm on this fasting focused
Mhm.
lifestyle, and I'm a boss bitch. Do you know what I'm saying?
Boss.
You know,
Yes, you
when
are.
I feel like, seeing, with social media as well, Monica, you see kind of these people who seem to be doing so well, and then you think, oh my gosh, should I be doing more? Should I be doing a b c d? And then I have to pause and say, okay, Nia, you grew up in rural Africa where you had nothing. You grew up in a mud hut. You are now in this beautiful house with your beautiful husband. Be grateful for that. So it's being able to, for me, I feel that even those negative thought processes are a way of linking me to source and to love. They are triggers for me to be constantly reminding myself and speaking positively to myself. So every time a negative thought arises, I counter it. I'm like, yes, but I'm a boss bitch, but I'm this,
Yeah.
but I'm
You
doing this, etc.
basically
etc.
turn it into
Mm,
gratefulness for how grateful
yes.
you are. And gratefulness does that. Like it really, when you wake up in the morning and you are grateful for
Yeah.
what you have accomplished, it just really changes that energy about your
Yeah.
day, your life.
Yeah.
So learning to be grateful for the things that you do have every single day.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And then another thing that I think has been very helpful for me, Monica, is, and I never thought I would ever say this in my life, meditation.
Mm, yes. Do you
I never
meditate
thought
daily?
I meditate daily.
Hmm.
And more recently, I've even incorporated Wim Hof breathing
Yes, I love
exercises.
Wim Hof. Oh, he's
Yes.
amazing. Yes.
And it's very
Yeah.
difficult, actually. People don't realize
Mhm.
that it takes a huge effort. It is an exercise to meditate. Meditation is an exercise.
Mhm.
And even the Wim Hof breathing exercises, it's a it is an exercise, but I promise you, you have to try meditation
Mhm.
and Wim Hof breathing exercises in order to believe it. And anybody who has never tried it, be prepared to be surprised. I'm the
Yeah.
biggest critic because, I am very analytical. I read math at university, so I'm so analytical. So for me, I was the biggest critic of all of these. So be prepared to be surprised.
Yeah. Look him up, definitely. If you have never heard of Wim Hof, actually look him up because when I came back last year I was actually in Africa and Ethiopia. I
Yes,
came
yeah.
back with a major asthma attack and had never knew I
Ah,
had asthma. So I started
ah,
doing Wim Hof breathing, and basically what it is you hold your breath. You do a lot
uh-huh.
of like you do 30 breaths, right? In and
Mm,
out, and then you hold your breath as long as you
yeah,
can. And
yeah,
so initially, like my lungs were so bad, like I
yeah.
could not even go over a minute. And
Oh,
within like
wow.
couple weeks, I was able to get up to 3-minute breath hold.
Yes,
So it's just it's something amazing about his breathing method. Like look him up. I don't want
yes.
to go too into it right now because we would need like
Yeah.
another podcast about it,
I know.
but it's incredible. Like his story is so incredible. His wife committed suicide, and that's when
Yes,
he
he did.
started
She did.
getting
Yeah.
into like the cold and breathing and all that
Mm,
stuff. So
mhm,
if
mhm.
you're interested in learning meditation and breathing, look him up. Incredible.
And I found meditation to be one of the most powerful tools for supporting a fasting focused lifestyle, as well as with Wim Hof breathing exercises.
That's amazing. I love it.
Mm,
So how have
wonderful.
you so far? So after losing 70
Yeah.
pounds, what
Mhm.
have you been doing to maintain? Like what are you currently
Yeah.
doing?
So I would say I've continued. So I've looked to find the things that I love in my journey so that this journey can be sustainable,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So in terms of my fasting, I do OMAD mostly, and then I do a 48 once a week because I can. But I am too lean now to do long-term fasts. I have recently just done a long fast, but I find that it's not as easy when you are lean to actually
Mhm.
do real extended fast. So I do OMAD and I throw in a 48 once a week or once every couple of weeks. And I
Mhm.
find that I'm still very, very lean. I still continue to kind of maintain my weight quite effortlessly. I maintain clean refeeds. So I'm still kind of not drinking as much alcohol or any alcohol at all. In fact, I barely ever drink except for birthdays to toast. And then so keeping my refeeds clean and tight eating windows. So I'm really maintaining the things that have got me to where I am, the
Mhm.
habits. walking, I didn't mention walking earlier. It was one of the main tools that supported my fasting journey and the weight loss journey, Monica, because as I've said, I've got a shoulder issue, a shoulder injury from childhood. So I'm very limited in terms of what I can do. Doesn't trigger the inflammation. So walking was great. And
So
I did a lot of that.
How much did you walk? Because I did the same thing, because everything was closed. The gyms were closed when I started. So walking is all I did. Like, actually bought a treadmill and I walked outside as well. But how much did you walk initially when you started this journey? Like, what was your daily?
So I did about 5K a day, but it's important to start where you are. For some people, 5K a day is even a lot. This is why you and I, Monica, are saying that this is all, it's a journey about self-love. Start where you are and do what you can do. Just make sure that you're able to do something. So I started with 5K, but now I do about 8K a day. And it's so easy. It's part of my daily habit. I wake up in the morning and I have to do my walk. It's just my way of meditation, spending time by myself, and it's become so easy. So right now I do about 8K, but when I first started, I could only do about 5K, and I could do maybe 5K 3 times a week, and then I ended up just building up, and now I do 8K a day. Some days I can't do it because life gets in the way, but most of the time I'm doing about 8K a day.
What do you do when you walk? Do you listen to like books or podcasts, or what's your typical routine?
So the tip to walking is, yes, I'll listen to some of your podcasts, Monica.
Oh, yay!
And so listening to podcasts. So my tips are: call a friend, because I promise you the journey goes by so quickly. You won't even realize you're walking because you're busy. Yapping.
Keep yourself busy. Yes,
I know. You're busy. So call a friend. You could listen to a podcast. I also listen to audio books. I love reading. I have shared some of the books that I've read. I think you and I read almost the same books as well, Monica. It's all about this kind of,
because you're my twin sister, obviously.
I know. Exactly. I promise you, everybody, we are not exchanging notes. It's just happened. It's coincidence, right?
Everything you say is exactly what I do. It's like, and we haven't even spoken before.
I know.
Week, really.
I know. Yeah. But I found that the more I did it, the more it's just become a part of me. I have to wake up, and the first thing I do, which is why repetition is important in this journey. Fasting, you just have to keep doing it, and the more you do it, you get used to it. Repetition forms habit.
You're building
Eating.
new habits. You're building new habits, and you're staggering those habits with other things that you enjoy doing. So, like, if you associate the walks with like, oh, I gotta go for a walk, I lose weight, you're not gonna want to do it. But if you associate going for a walk with your children, for example, or calling your friend or somebody you haven't talked to in a while, or listening to podcasts, our podcast that we did.
Yes.
And books, like, same thing. If you associate that with something positive, like a positive reinforcement, you're gonna want to do it. You're gonna look forward to it, because I am the same way. Like, in the evening, like, if the weather's bad and I cannot go outside for a walk, it's hard. Like, I don't sleep as well. It's relaxed. Like, turn off your mind. It's like your self-care. Like, you think of it as self-care. It's not, you're not doing this for weight loss. You're doing it for mental health.
Absolutely. And another thing that I didn't mention as well that I've carried on doing, which I did to support my fast, is, and I know some people buy into this, Monica, initially, but it takes a while for some people to buy into it, is actually taking in your salts to support your fasts. Believe it or not, there are people who still think that it's okay to fast with just water, and you can do long periods with water. And to those people who haven't bought into it, I'd say just do your research. Your body does need some salts. We are deficient in some salts, sort of magnesium, your potassium, and it is important. And if you then have, again, that change of mindsets, you are essentially giving your body the salts that it needs, even if you were not fasting. The
Mhm.
body needs those salts anyway, and we are deficient in them. So
Yeah.
this journey is just effectively um, bringing to awareness something that you ought to be doing anyway.
Mhm.
And salts aren't bad. It's actually sugar that's not so good for you.
Well, there's so much misinformation out there, and
Mhm,
so I
mhm.
urge everyone to do their own research. When
Me
I
too.
fast and I know I have enough salt in my body, I feel
Mm,
so much better. And I've done a
yeah,
7-day fast with just plain water,
yeah,
and in comparison to having electrolytes in your water, it
yeah,
is
yeah.
game changer. And
It is.
there are people out there that don't believe in any outing anything on the fast. They call it a dirty fast. I don't call it a dirty fast, I think it's your body needs it, and as a matter of
Yeah,
fact, if you just drink lots of straight plain water on your
yeah,
fast and you are in ketosis, you can actually get into some very dangerous,
yeah.
heart rhythms with
Absolutely.
electrolyte,
Mm,
deficiencies, because you will pee out
mm,
most of your
mm,
sodium, and then
mm,
potassium goes next
mm,
after sodium. So
mm.
it is, again, don't listen, obviously we're not doctors, so we're
No,
not
no.
telling you what to do. Always consult your own doctor and do your own
Yeah.
research. But
Mm, mm,
yes, look up snake juice, salts,
mm.
and just try it. Why not?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So yes, so my routine now is just that is I am fasting every day, even though I am on very, very lean now. I still fast. I don't eat 3 meals a day. It would be impossible for me to go back to that lifestyle. I eat clean. I'm maintaining the habits that got me to where I am, where I'm eating clean, and I'm keeping my windows tight, my refeed windows tight,
Mhm.
and then I move. So I'm walking every day. That is my me time. It's my meditative time. I listen to podcasts. I listen to books, and then so it's basically maintaining the habits that have got me to where I am. And now that I'm lean, I feel that I need to build muscle. So I've started incorporating sort of weights into my routine,
Mhm.
which I believe is going to make me even stronger and potentially support healing my shoulder injury as well. So those are my key kind of core ingredients. But obviously, sleep is important as well. Just making sure that you're getting enough sleep. You're
Mhm.
no good to anybody burnt out, and deprivation of sleep will basically cause you to retain water. So getting enough sleep is super super important.
Mhm.
And then finally, again, it's that me time, Monica. So I have learned to devote some kind of me time to meditation, to doing Wim Hof breathing exercises, even if it's in the morning, sort of 5 a.m., first thing, 10 minutes, and then I know that I've done it, right? And it's
Awesome.
just part of my habit. So that is what I'm doing right now to maintain
When do you eat your meal, your one meal a
my
day?
So a lot of people ask me this, and I would love to say I eat it during the day, but I don't.
Mhm.
I've had to fit this with my lifestyle. My husband is out working. We eat meals. The only thing that we can do during the week together is to eat together. It's our family time. So we
Mhm.
eat in the evenings about 7 p.m. So that's when I eat my meal. I would like to eat it earlier, but then I'm working from home, he's out, and then he comes back. So, and then even when I'm back to commuting post COVID, I will get home in the evening. So it's inevitable that we will have our dinner around 7. And it's always been like that, Monica. I'd
Mhm.
have loved for our meal to be in the morning, but or at lunch or whatever, but it's just never been able to be possible. But I've managed to lose weight. Look at me. I've still lost
Yeah,
70
and that's
pounds,
the thing.
even though,
There
yeah.
isn't a cookie cutter approach. You have to do sometimes what
Yeah.
works for you. If having a
Yeah.
dinner with your family is important
Mhm.
and Cole
Mhm.
says, "Don't eat after 6,"
I know.
then you know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes I mean, look, you've lost weight. I eat in the evening
Yeah,
myself. I don't
yeah,
eat super
yeah,
late, but sometimes I
yeah,
eat at 7 when I go out
yeah,
to dinner with friends.
yeah,
So again, it's what works for you and your lifestyle. If you can fit it into your lifestyle, you are
yeah.
more likely to sustain it.
That's it.
Can you like share what you normally eat? Like how many do you count
Yes.
calories or how much, what do you normally?
So again, with food, there is no one size fits all, because if you are going to give somebody a prescribed diet, it's going to fail.
Yes.
All of us, every individual, you need to find what you love to eat that basically is going to support your journey. So for me, what I love to eat is, and I have kind of 5 tried and tested meals. So mainly protein is either kind of salmon, sea bass, so some type of fish or chicken, and it's normally grilled. And I love spices. So my husband will make sure that he does all the cooking. So I've taught him very, very well.
You did. You
So
sure did.
yeah, so he'll kind of make sure that it's kind of seasoned to my taste or to our taste. And then salmon, and then so protein is either chicken or fish, and then sometimes steak, and then vegetables. So usually broccoli or zucchini or green beans. I love green beans as
Me
well. I saw that you
too.
love green beans.
Yes.
Exactly. Or I'll do a salad. My favorite salad is like a mixture of tomato, red onions, and avocado.
Mm,
And I don't say that I've ever counted any calories on this journey, Monica. I'm not going to say that I've never weighed my food.
mhm.
I have had a, a mixture of those things, so a protein and veg, and then I've basically eaten until I'm full. And I would normally have fruit, sort of low sugar content fruit, because everybody has a sweet tooth, right?
Yes.
Let's not beat about the
Fruit
bush,
fruit
right?
is fruit is the nature's candy, right?
It
So,
is. It
yeah.
is. It
Mhm,
is. So berries,
mm,
strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. And the most important thing to note about food as well is that some people, people have families, right? And a lot of us have kids. You can have. So one of the girls I'm helping, who is my cousin, says to me, "Oh my God, I can't eat the stuff that I have to eat because my family likes this." And I'm like, okay, you need to figure out what works for you that
mm,
your family will also eat. Because if you are eating something that's completely different to your family, it's going to feel like you are on a diet.
mhm.
It's going to feel restrictive. So it's important that you kind of get to a point where you find 5 or so meals that work for the whole family.
Yeah.
And that also, because not only are you then integrating this healthy living lifestyle to your family start eating healthily as well, and then they'll get used to it. Like my husband eats what I eat, and he's a high performance athlete. He cycles over 100 miles a week, but he eats what I eat. He might put in sort of carbs, so a baked potato or two with his meal, etc. But he still
Does
eats
he
what I eat.
fast as well? Does he live a fasted focused lifestyle or
He didn't initially, but now he eats 1 meal a day with me.
wow. No.
It's like when you do certain things
Mhm.
and your family start to see change, and
Mm,
then it's your change that basically influences people.
mhm.
Do you know the famous quote, when Noah built the ark, he wasn't waiting, or he didn't listen to all of the haters about how good his work was. He
Mm,
just built it, and then he let the storm do the talking, right?
mhm. Yeah.
So your results will do the talking. You do what you need to do,
Don't
and then
listen to the
people then follow.
naysayers. Yeah, don't listen to the naysayers. Just like
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing, go through your journey, and the people that are inspired by your journey, they are going to follow. And you don't have to
That's it.
convince anyone to do
No,
anything.
no,
Like even
no,
your husband, you never, I'm sure you never had to be like,
no,
oh,
no,
he just did it
no, never.
himself. Mm-hmm.
He's just over time just gone on to the same journey as me, and now he probably, I think if I told him that he's doing OMAD, he might actually rebel and actually go the other way. So I just have to keep it quiet.
Well, so I don't know if you've seen Cole's newest video that he just posted, and he talks about how now he doesn't think like OMAD, not to do OMAD, just do like smaller meals like every 4 hours, because it OMAD causes people to feel like that full feeling, and it causes them to binge even more. And I'm curious to hear your thought on that,
My
because
thoughts.
I mean,
Mm.
I'm partial again. I think it's what works for different
Yes.
people. Like for me, OMAD worked well because I had a binge
Mm.
eating issue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like if I
Yeah.
ate at noon and
Yeah.
then again at 2 and again at
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
I would probably not be able to stop because I would want to just eat all the time. And knowing
Yeah.
that, okay, this is it, I'm gonna sit and eat, but not
Yeah.
to the point where I'm like,
I
stop
know exactly,
this
but were you
much.
satisfied?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's learning to eat intuitively, not just like how
Yes.
many calories, but just kind of like,
No.
okay,
Mindful. Yeah. Mindful
mindful
eating.
eating.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't like the stuffed feeling and you prefer to maybe eat a meal at 2, like a
Mm.
small meal, and then eat one at 6, then sure, do
Mm.
it. I don't think there is a cookie cutter approach. I think
No.
it's learning what works for you. So I was interested to know if you've seen his recent video.
Yeah. So I haven't seen the video, and I guess I would say I 100% agree with you, Monica. This journey is about experimenting with what works for you, which is why it is a journey that should be driven from self-love and self-awareness, and you finding what works for you and what's going to make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to you, and I would never knock anybody who feels that they should eat 4 small meals a day. If that works for you, that's all right.
Yeah.
For me and my lifestyle, similar to you, Monica, what has worked for me is kind of, in order to be kind of mindful about what I eat and intentional about what I eat and how I eat and how much I eat, OMAD has worked very, very well for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about my day, getting up, I'm on the train going into London, and then I'm out there every day. There's food everywhere. And it's very easy to grab a sandwich because it's that time to eat. It's very easy to kind of
Because
think,
everybody else is
okay,
eating, so I have to eat. It's
yeah,
lunchtime. I gotta eat. So
it's very, very easy. So for me, the discipline of being intentional about when I eat and what I eat has been transformational. And then it's helped me control what actually goes into my body. Because that one meal, then I am then mindful and I'm conscious of what's actually going into my body. So I wouldn't knock anybody. As you said, Monica, it's all about listening to your body and then finding what works for you and sticking with it. For me, OMAD works beautifully, and even it has helped me maintain my weight, continue to be trim, and I'm sticking with that.
Mhm.
If
And
if
it's and who
Yeah,
knows? I mean, maybe 6 months from now, you'll be like, I'm gonna do 2 months, and that's fine.
yeah, that's fine.
It's okay to change your mind and change what's going
This
on.
is not a cult.
Absolutely.
Exactly. This is
And
not a cult. It's about
mm,
experimenting with your body
and
and then
sometimes,
finding what works for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes I think people get so like caught up with like, oh, now Cole says do this. Cole is learning through his experiences, people that he
Yes.
coaches.
Yeah.
Like if something that he taught like 3 years ago works for you, do it.
Yeah.
But if you want to change
Absolutely.
it, try something else, do it. Doesn't mean that
Yeah.
it's wrong. Doesn't mean that
Absolutely.
he's wrong now or he was wrong back then. He's
No.
learning
No.
through his own. But I see
Absolutely.
people sometimes they get so caught up in it and they cannot
Mm.
get past like, okay, well now I can't do this. Well, I can't do OMAD now because
No.
Cole says not to do it. If it
No.
works for you, do it. If
I know.
it doesn't work, try something else. Try what Cole
Yeah.
is teaching now.
Yeah.
So don't get caught up in it. Everybody is different. It's your own journey, and you have to figure out what works for you.
Absolutely. And I guess Cole also says that he is the first person who said it. He said, look, you have to experiment to a point where you find what works for you and then you stick with that.
Yeah, but just do
Absolutely.
what works for you. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try different things. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not failing by trying different things. So yeah, I love that. Beautiful.
Good.
So do you currently coach people? Do you do any weight loss coaching, any fast?
So at the moment, I'm not coaching per se because my job is so full on, but I do have women who I support. So I've got a group that's called My Life of Self-Love. And it's only because it's just a bunch of women started off as friends who were just kind of going on a journey together.
Is it on
the
Facebook?
Start of the year.
Is it on
Sorry?
Is it on, excuse me, is
it
it on
Facebook?
What's
And it's
the name
called
of
My Life of Self-Love.
My Life of Self-Love. Oh, I have to join it. Is it open for anyone?
It's open. It's open for anyone. Yes.
Women
My
and
Life
men,
of
or
Self-Love.
just women? Is it
It's
both?
women. It's
Just
women.
Okay.
Yes, it's women.
Okay.
It started as a bunch of girlfriends, and it's now grown to being kind of a couple of hundred girls, and we're just there supporting each other. And I just share fasting information with them. I share my journey with them. And then there are a handful of people who have reached out to me on social media wanting coaching, and I'm just supporting them during my extra time. I've not really started that journey of being a formal coach, but I plan to do that in a few months' time when everything settles down and we're back out of COVID and everything. But for now, I am very happy to support people. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm Neil_Mooki_Watson, or even on Facebook. I'm very, very open to provide assistance to answer any questions, and do join our group.
It's everything. It's not just one thing. If the nutrition, the fasting, the mental relationship, the self-love, like it's like a whole cycle. Like you've got to, it's everything together. You cannot lose weight and maintain it if your life is a freaking tornado. It's almost impossible because as soon as you have that terrible day, you had a rough day with got in a fight with your husband, you're gonna reach for the comfort food because you haven't learned to comfort yourself and know that you are worthy. Your self-love is enough. You don't need somebody else or a job.
No, you don't.
Terrible.
You
can
don't.
come home and still know that, you know what, I am worthy. I don't need food. I don't need treats like a dog.
I know. Absolutely.
Myself. Yeah. But
treats like a dog. That's so true. Yeah.
But at the same time, this doesn't happen overnight. Like this didn't happen for me overnight. It took time. I mean, like I worked on this for 6 months at least, and I made tons of mistakes. I still do. I still have negative self-talk.
Yes. Yes.
It is just part of it, and it's just learning to incorporate new habits, new way of thinking, waking up in the morning and saying to yourself, I am enough. No matter what happens today, I am enough. I do not need validation from my job, from
anybody,
from anyone. Yes,
from anybody.
It's great if you get the validation from other people or compliments. That's awesome, but you shouldn't expect those things, because you should start to learn. No, even right now, even if you're 400 pounds, you should know that you are enough. Just because you're overweight, your weight does not define you. And I think you have to start with believing in that. Yes, you've gained weight. We both have. I've been big myself.
I know. Yeah.
Gained weight because I've struggled with other things in my life. I wasn't able to work through certain things in my mind. So I use food as a comfort. So it will happen, but it doesn't define you as a person.
No.
So that's
absolutely. And I would also add to that I think when you are going through this journey as well, I describe it to the girls who I support that it's about progress, not perfection. It's
Yes.
a bit like, archery. With archery, there's the big red
Mm,
dot in the middle, and then you've got the other circles around it. You are not going to always hit the middle.
mhm,
And just because you're not hitting the middle doesn't mean that you're not succeeding or that you're not making progress. Even if you hit the rings on the other side of the outer edge of the bit in the middle, you
mm,
are still plugging points. You are still making
mhm.
progress.
Yeah.
The most important thing is you are aiming for the target and
Mm,
you will get there, right? So I think it's important also to also recognize that this isn't,
absolutely. Yeah.
it's not a journey about getting stuff perfect, getting the
Mm,
measurements right, because it is a lifestyle. It's a long-term lifestyle, and it's about kind of being able to recognize the progress that you're making.
what are the 3 things that you wish you had known before about anything, whether it's diet, fasting, life in general? And I'm sure we probably touched on these things before, but what are the 3 things that you wish you had known sooner?
The top of that list is alcohol.
Mm, good one. I wanna touch on that actually because I had the same issue. Alcohol became one of those things. 1 glass of wine, then 2,
Mhm.
and then when COVID started, it was like a whole bottle, and then
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're, like, so dependent on the wine
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
enjoying it, but you
Mm.
know it's not good for you.
Mhm.
Alcohol is a toxin, and you
It
mentioned
is.
this, we talked, you
Yeah.
mentioned it before.
Yeah.
Can you kind of touch on the alcohol and just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So alcohol is a toxin, and that's a conversation for another podcast. But it's a toxin, which is why you are. If you drink too much, you are said to be intoxicated because you are then full of toxins. You have filled your body with toxins,
Mhm,
and then the liver has to spend, there's a whole physiology
mhm,
around it. But the liver then has to spend a lot of time basically kind of trying to rid itself of the toxin, and it dehydrates you. The following day, you lose time, you feel like rubbish. You get into this negative loop. You then feel that you need to feed your body with certain types of food in order to counteract the effects of the hangover. And then it just goes on and on and on. It's the negative loop. So for me, I wish I
mhm,
knew. It's empty calories. I wish I knew early on. I wish somebody had told me early on that actually, if I did cut back on my alcohol, my journey would get by much, much quicker,
mm,
and it would become much easier in terms of my fasting, in terms of my weight loss, and also in terms of finding self and being able to
mm,
see my own worth. And in order for me to be able to see, you know, that I am enough, and
mhm,
etc. etc. So I would say that the number one thing for me is alcohol. I think if I'd known about that, and I'm not saying, that you shouldn't ever have alcohol, blah blah blah. I think if you don't want to, that is your choice. I still take a glass or two to toast, to my friends' birthdays, my husband's birthday, but I absolutely limit it to the bare minimum that I need to take for those social occasions. And I would say that the second thing that I wish I knew was that this journey is more than just about adjusting your food intake or getting kind of moving, etc., etc. Because most mainstream diets concentrate on what you should eat,
mhm,
and they concentrate on how to exercise, and but they basically forget that this is all about a mindset,
mhm.
and it's about a whole change of mindset and changing habits. And I think if I'd known I think if somebody had taught me that at the outset, started off with that as the entry point to say, this is about a change of mindset. It's about knowing that you're worthy. It's about, doing this also from a place of self-love, and this is what it means, and you're going to make mistakes, etc., then I'd have been prepared going into the journey, because a lot of people go into their kind of weight loss journey, healthy living journeys without that knowledge. And that's why a lot of people stop, and then they end up quitting when they feel that the scales are moving, it's too hard, etc., and then they're hard on themselves, and then they stop. So we've got to really change how we guide people through this journey by not jumping straight into just the mechanics of the journey itself, but just the mindset change and preparing them for what is to come. And then the final thing I wish I knew, I think I talked about this, and I think it feeds into the whole thing about self-love. I wish I knew about kind of meditation. I think for me, it's been the strongest tool for me being able to maintain my weight loss, for me being able to be connected to myself and to source and to others, and being able to do what I'm able to do every single day, which is a lot, which is kind of my day-to-day job, being able to support the people who I'm supporting who are on this journey, being able to be a wife, and still kind of everything still kind of holding together. It's all down to meditation.
I love that. Those are all great. Love that. I do want to go back, and I know we could make another podcast about this actually, because it's such a big issue out there, I think, and with so many people that I know personally that struggle with this. How did you stop drinking, basically? How did that process? I know, I mean, this could be like
I know
another podcast.
No, it's fine. It is another
Tips?
podcast.
Yeah, any tips for people? And I get it. Like, if you're one of those people that kind of, especially during COVID, like started drinking more, it's not your fault. I mean, it happens, which is like another comfort thing. Alcohol becomes that, 1 hour, 2 hours of just forgetting about life and the world. And the next day you get into this vicious cycle of chasing that, whatever, that feeling of numbness. You basically become kind of numb when you start drinking. What did you do to help yourself with just quitting, not drinking, and just being able to have a drink occasionally on a birthday or New Year's or whatnot?
I think it happened over time, because I think I was in that gray area where you're not quite an addict, but you're, do you know what I mean? But you're pretty close. You're pretty close. So I would say that it started with the fasting, because when I started doing my kind of OMAD, because I said that I started kind of with OMAD initially, I told myself, okay, I'm not going to drink during the week. I'm going to try not to drink during the week and just do OMAD, because if I drank during the week, even if it's one glass, it's going to undo all of the work I've done all day to build up to this. And I have to say, it was very, very hard not to have a glass of wine. One of the things was to just move the bottles of wines out of sight. I mean, we used to have like a bottle of red on the counter, and then there'd always be a bottle of wine, the white in the fridge. And I loved my fizzes. I mean, I even wanted my husband to make me a champagne room, to transform one of our bedrooms into a champagne room. So it's sort of practical steps of saying, okay, we're not going to drink during the week, and we'll leave the drinking to the weekend. Other practical steps of saying, okay, we're going to put drinks out of sight. The bottle's out of sight, then the temptation isn't there in front of you.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. And then it moved to being a weekend thing. And then we would always kind of limit ourselves. Okay, we wouldn't drink until dinner with dinner, and we'd say, okay, it would be a bottle of wine between us. And then eventually with the fasting, it just kind of evolved where my body, because I was fasting and I was allowing myself to listen to how things affected my body,
Mhm.
I was able to really feel the effects of wine in my body. And then I didn't really care for it then. So I guess it was about taking practical steps initially, just practical, because you are close to being an addict or you are kind of used to drinking. So taking practical steps to put drinks out of sight, have a commitment with your partner about how much you would drink and when you would drink, and limiting it to weekends. And then eventually, because you're fasting, you then allow your body to basically feel that this isn't really affecting my body that great. So maybe there's no
Mhm.
point doing it. And eventually I stopped. But another thing, Monica, is that my dad drank himself to death, right?
Mm.
So I think part of it and was kind of driven by just recognizing that I might have gone down a very different path if I'd stuck to
Mhm.
the path that I was going down. And it was starting to affect my productivity. It's that negative loop, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought, okay, I need to try something else and
Mm.
see if this something else might lead me down a different path. And thankfully it did.
And and alcohol, when you first start drinking or when you
Mhm.
start to drink more and more, that glass of wine, you associate it with like this nice buzz, this like relaxed feeling.
Relax.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of initially what it starts drawing you into drinking, and then having
Mhm.
every one glass of wine a night. Then next year it becomes two glasses a night. And
Yeah.
it really, like, I read this book by Annie Grace. I think it's This Naked Mind. Really good
Oh,
if you haven't
right.
read it. This
Okay.
Naked Mind.
Yes. Yes. Somebody told me that. I'm going to read that. I'll read that
Great
this evening.
audiobook.
Yeah.
And it
Mm.
said, you take a drink and then the drink takes you. And
That's
I think
it.
it's so, so true. We think of
Yes.
alcohol just like food, so innocently. It's just,
Yes.
oh, it's just a glass
Yes.
of wine. It's not a big
Yes.
deal. But it
Yeah.
kind of draws you in. And again, it's not your
Yeah.
fault. And you
Yeah.
associate this like buzz, nice feeling, and
Yeah.
then you need
Yes.
more because your body,
Yeah.
your chemicals in your brain get used to it.
Yes.
You
Uh-huh.
need more, and it's not your fault. But
Mhm.
then, so for me, it was a struggle. I stopped drinking like right before my birthday in April last year, and I didn't drink for I
Mhm.
think 7 or 8 months at all,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
I felt like the alcohol started to kind of run, especially during COVID. I did not want to be dependent on having that as a stress relief.
Monica, you and I are real twins because I stopped completely then. I said,
Wow.
I said, and I even made a post about it. I said,
Mm,
I want to get out of lockdown stronger than I went in.
yeah.
And part of that has to do with me basically making a conscious decision not to drink at
Mhm.
all. Because I think if I didn't stop, it might have ended up basically just being something that just ended up supporting the loneliness,
Mhm.
you know,
Stress.
the feeling of stress around the uncertainty with COVID. So I had to make a conscious decision then at that
Mhm.
time to just completely stop, cold turkey, just stop.
Yeah.
Mm.
Same. And what helped me actually is reading that book, the Annie Grace, This
Yeah,
Naked Mind,
yeah,
and associating alcohol, instead of associating with this nice buzzy feeling, started associating it with the way you feel the next day, the hangover, the
yes,
headache, the
yes,
grogginess, not being able
yeah.
to go to the gym.
Losing time, losing
The
time.
cravings and all that's,
Mm.
yeah, losing time, that's
Mm,
huge,
mm, mm,
waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because every time I
mm, mm,
drink, my body wakes
mm.
up at 3 in the morning. So
Me too. Yeah.
when you
Mm,
start associating, your sleep is not the
yeah.
same. You don't sleep as well when
Mm,
you drink. You fall
mm,
asleep faster, but your
mm.
sleep cycles, your REM and your deep
REM cycle, yes.
you
Uh-huh.
don't actually go through the same cycles.
Mm,
So as
mhm.
innocently as it can seem, like just one glass of wine, it really does so much damage to your
It does.
body. And
It
so when you
does.
focus on the negative effects of alcohol, it
Yeah.
really kind of helps you be like, you know what,
Yeah.
I don't need it, because you're not thinking of this nice, like, ooh, I'm gonna feel so,
No.
that big nice glass of wine. Oh, that sounds
Mm.
good actually right now. I'm just kidding. But that big glass of red
Yeah.
wine, so just same thing with food, like if you look at pizza,
Yeah.
instead of like, oh, this is so yummy, be like, I know I'm not gonna feel so good. I'm gonna feel stuffed and just blah. So just
Yes.
just changing that focus, changing your mindset,
Changing.
how you think of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess with alcohol, it's, for me, it was really when you start to fast, it allows your body to tell you what's good for you and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're giving your body a break
Mm-hmm.
from eating. When you start eating, it tells you very, very quickly what negatively impacts your body very, very quickly. So
Yeah.
it was like that. So for me, actually quitting alcohol, like really, really cutting off completely, was easier
Mm.
because I was fasting, because my body was able to tell me very, very quickly, actually, this isn't really making me feel good. You know what I mean? It's just physiologically sort of, it's just not making me feel good. And I just thought, okay, what the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. Amazing, amazing. This question just popped into my head because I was
That's
just curious
fine.
about
That's fine.
what has been your longest fast? How long have you fasted?
5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
Okay, awesome.
So I've done a few 5 day dry fasts,
Mm-hmm.
including recently. Yeah. So I do 5 days maybe once or twice every 6 months. So I did one sort of recently because I'd had my birthday in February and then my husband's birthday in March, and I felt like I'd had a lot of cake as part of birthdays. So I needed a 5 day fast. So
Awesome.
5 days. I've not done any longer. No.
But Neil, thank you so much. I'm gonna link your Instagram and put your Facebook group name for the
Fantastic.
ladies here. And I've enjoyed chatting with you so much. Thank you for your time. I look forward to hopefully maybe doing another topic, not topping, not topping, another
Yeah.
topic with you. Maybe discussing. Talking maybe about like the maintenance journey and like how to do that, what to do, because
Absolutely.
I think that's a
Absolutely.
huge issue for a lot of people that have either lost weight and it's hard for them to maintain. So maybe it's
Oh my
something that we
God.
could discuss in the future.
I would love to
Yeah.
do that. I would absolutely love to do that, Monica. And yeah, I mean, anybody out there, if you've also got questions about my journey or even your own journey, just feel free to DM me, and I'll be able to get back to you.
Thank you so much. And I admire you. You're my soul sister, and I look forward to
Oh,
following your journey and just
oh,
getting to know you more. So thank you so much for your time.
Monica, the feeling is 100% mutual. You know, it's a privilege to meet women like
Oh,
you. I believe that, I'm a big supporter of women. So if you follow me, you will see that
like
I
your
am all
t-shirt.
about. I know I'm all about women, and uh, women supporting women, women supporting everybody.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's been wonderful connecting with you, my soul sister, and
Thank
and and I
you.
look forward to this friendship along this journey.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and
You too,
I look forward
Monica.
to chatting with you soon.
Thank you. You too,
Thank you so
Monica.
much,
Thank you.
girl.
Bye.
Good night.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.